It's 1720, somewhere in the Caribbean. You're 11 years old. You don't remember exactly how you ended up on this ship. Maybe your father owed money. Maybe you were an orphan the local tavern didn't want to feed anymore. Either way, someone signed a paper, and now this ship is your whole world. Your title is Powder Monkey. It sounds almost cute. It isn't. When the ship goes into battle, your job is simple to explain and terrifying to do. You run down into the belly of the ship, where the gunpowder is stored, then back up to the cannons again and again and again. Every trip, you're carrying enough powder to turn you into mist if a spark lands wrong. And around you, the world is exploding. Cannons roar. Men scream. Smoke fills every breath you take. You're chosen for this job for one simple reason: you're small enough to move fast through narrow spaces, and this part matters more than anyone admits. You're considered expendable. If a cannonball takes off an experienced sailor's arm, the ship loses a skilled man. If it takes you, the ship loses a boy who hasn't learned to fight yet. Nobody says this to your face. But you understand it anyway, somewhere in the back of your mind, every time you run past the wounded. And yet, somehow, you keep running. Because the alternative is standing still, and standing still gets you killed just the same. 3 years pass. You're 14 now, maybe 15, nobody kept careful track. You survived enough battles that the captain stopped seeing you as cargo and started seeing you as crew. Your new title is Ordinary Seaman. It's not glamorous, but it's real work, and real work means real trust. Now your hands know the rigging. Every rope on this ship has a name, and you've learned every one of them the hard way, usually by pulling the wrong one at the wrong time. You climb higher than you ever thought your body would let you, sometimes 40, 50 feet above a deck that never stops moving. One bad grip, one sudden wave, and there's no net waiting to catch you. Just water, and however far down the crew happens to be looking. Nights are just as demanding. The crew splits watch duty between two sides of the ship, larboard, on the left, and starboard, on the right. Tonight, it's your turn. Alone, at the railing, staring into water so dark it could be hiding anything or nothing at all. It's not an exciting job. Most nights, nothing happens at all. But most nights is exactly why the job exists, because the one night something does happen, someone needs to already be watching. You're not a boy running errands anymore. You're not yet a man giving orders. You're something in between useful, trusted, and still, every single day, proving it all over again. 5 more years pass. You're nearly 20 now, and something has changed. You've become the man other sailors quietly point to when a stranger asks who's actually dangerous on this ship. Your title is Master Gunner, and it means the cannons, every single one on this ship, are yours to know better than anyone else alive. Most people imagine cannon fire as pointing and shooting. It isn't. You calculate windage, how hard the wind is pushing the smoke and the shot sideways. You calculate roll, how the deck itself is tilting under your feet with every wave, seconds before you decide to light the fuse. Fire too early, and the shot lands harmlessly in open water. Fire too late, and the enemy ship has already turned broadside, ready to answer with everything they have. There's a particular kind of shot you're trusted to use only in certain moments: chain shot, 2 cannonballs linked by an iron chain, spinning as they fly. It's useless against a hull. But against masts and rigging, it shreds sails and snaps wood, crippling a ship's ability to run without sinking it outright, because a captured ship is worth more than a sunk one. When the order finally comes, you don't hesitate. You light the fuse, and for a fraction of a second before the world goes loud, you already know exactly where that shot is going to land. More years pass, and the sea has carved its story into you: scars on your hands from rope burns, a permanent squint from staring into sunglare off the water. You're bosun now, bosun, most of the crew calls it, and the entire physical body of this ship answers to you. Every morning, before anyone else is fully awake, you walk the length of the deck checking things no one else thinks to check. You run a hand along the anchor rope, feeling for fraying strands that could snap at the worst possible moment. You check the hull for leaks by ear alone, tapping wood and listening for a sound that's just slightly wrong. When a storm hits, and out here, one always eventually does, you're the one shouting over the wind, assigning men to ropes, sails, and pumps, while everyone else is simply trying not to be thrown overboard. You've learned something most people never do, that keeping a ship alive isn't one heroic act. It's 100 small, unglamorous checks, done correctly, every single day, so that no one ever notices how close disaster actually was. Now something happens that would be impossible almost anywhere else in the 18th century. The crew votes, and they choose you. Your title is Quartermaster, and on a naval warship, that word barely means anything. On a pirate ship, it means you're second in command in name and sometimes first in command in practice. Before this ship ever left port, the crew agreed on a written code: how loot gets divided, what counts as a punishable offense, what happens if a man is injured in battle. You're the one who enforces that code now, not the captain. If two men argue over a stolen coin, they bring the dispute to you, not to him. When the ship takes a prize, captures another vessel, you're the first one aboard the captured ship, deciding what's worth keeping and what gets left behind. Later, you'll divide everything on a wooden table in front of the whole crew, in full view, because a quartermaster caught skimming loot for himself doesn't stay quartermaster for long, sometimes he doesn't stay alive. Finally, the highest title anyone on this ship can hold, captain. But if you imagine total, unquestioned power, you've imagined the wrong ship. You didn't inherit this position, and you didn't seize it by force. The crew elected you, and the same crew that raised you up can vote you right back down. Show cowardice in a fight, and you won't survive the weak as captain, even if you survive the battle itself. Divide plunder unfairly, and the same men who cheered your election will be the ones demanding a new vote before the sun sets. But in the middle of battle, when cannon smoke fills the air and there's no time for a vote, no time for debate, your word is absolute, instantly, without question. Every other hour of every other day, you're not a king. You're simply the most trusted man on a ship full of men who all consider themselves equals, and trust, out here, is the only currency that never runs out.